On a recent library trip, I checked out the graphic novel version of Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. I read the original novel years ago when my then husband purchased the paperback for me as a present. I found it to be among the most memorable novels I have read in my life. Many critics have compared The Handmaid's Tale with George Orwell's 1984 in that both novels deal with a dystopian future where a nation is ruled by a cruel authoritarian regime that dictates everything in its citizens' life. For those of you who have never read the novel, seen the 1990 movie version, or watched the streaming series on Hulu, here's a brief synopsis. The United States gets taken over by a group of right-wing, fundamentalist Christian extremists who suspends the Constitution and renames the nation as Gilead. They create a society that's very hierarchical in nature, where the country is ruled by a small group of people. They also take over a country that has been long wrecked by environmental disasters that have even affected the fertility and childbirth rates. People outside of the favored ruling class are basically expendable. Women are no longer allowed to hold jobs outside of the home, so a woman's worth in Gilead is based on her fertility and her obedience to authority. For couples from the ruling class who are struggling with fertility problems, they have an official government-sanctioned solution. A fertile woman, known as a handmaid, is sent to the home whose sole purpose is to get pregnant by the husband, then surrender the child to the couple after giving birth. The idea of the handmaid comes from the biblical story of Rachel, her husband Joseph, and her handmaid Bilhah. The Handmaid's Tale is told from the point of view of one of the handmaids who is known only as Offred. The graphic novel adaptation of The Handmaid's Tale was illustrated by Renée Naut. I found it to be a very good adaptation in that Naut came up with an innovative idea of contrasting Offred's current life with her past. The scenes from the past are painted in a variety of very warm, bright colors, while the present scenes are done with a more somber palette of black, gray, and even duller tones of red and green. Sometimes Naut will splash certain scenes with only one color, such as the red that was used when the handmaids were expected to literally tear apart a man whom the authorities said had raped a pregnant handmaid and it resulted in a miscarriage. I highly recommend the graphic novel for anyone who wants to see a visual representation of the Gilead that Margaret Atwood tried to portray in her novel.